shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday Mindshift. The clarity you've been craving. The shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Mindshift. Apologize for the late start. Tech was not cooperating. I had to reboot my computer right as the time I was going to go live. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. Life happens. My son is having a tough morning, so get to play dad. I get to play dad. That's not a. Why'd you get a wipe? Don't worry about the floor. Don't worry about the floor. Take care of you. I don't care about the floor. That's one way to look at it, Sharon. Waiting for you. It is not liberated yet. It is still in customs. I hopefully should have it this week because last week we got a message that the paperwork was rejected and I had to go take care of a bunch of stuff. And just forget it for the next hour, please. Right? Just breathe. Good point, Sharon. Just breathe. Life happens. Good morning, Liana. On the good side, we had a great party yesterday for my son. He had a lot of fun. He enjoyed it. He got to play with his friends at the trampoline park. We had a lot of fun. Had a whole day off just to be with family and do our thing. So that was nice. Anyway, so continuing on. Sometimes chaos just comes, right? All right, give me a moment. All right. Sharon's exactly right. There is an extreme irony here in the topic. Thank you, honey. About peace and chaos. As I was saying, chaos happens to all of us. It can happen at any time. I feel the goal is not avoiding chaos. It's moving through the chaos. But at the same time, as we will talk about today, it's setting boundaries. That's funny, Sharon. That's very funny. May and K, mayhem and chaos, which reminds me of that old Allstate guy, chaos or mayhem. Anyway, things can get chaotic in life, especially when you have young children. And 2 minutes before you're supposed to do something, the Christmas lights fall off, and there's a whole blow up over that. What I want to talk about today is in those cases, and this was brought by you guys, the listeners, as an idea for a topic, how to embrace peace and not live in chaos constantly, to take steps for the chaos that tries to invade. I don't see the chaos with my child as an invasion. It's life, right? What we were talking about is when somebody that we've released, or we think we released, has come back trying to bring chaos into our life. So, I'm just going to take a breath, get myself on center. And I would say this: the chaos doesn't come back because it's strong. It comes back because our old identity recognizes it as familiar. And that peace requires adopting a new identity. It's not about new rules or new strategies, but a new identity. You see, when you start choosing yourself and you upgrade your boundaries, you stop living from that old survival identity. Old people, old roles, old clients, old dynamics, they're going to come knocking at the door again. Not because they belong in your present or your future, love you too, but because part of you still remembers how to hold them. This isn't about avoiding toxic people. It's about understanding why the old identity actually invites them back. Carl Jung said it this way: we are not enlightened by imagining figures of light. We become enlightened by making the darkness conscious. So today, my goal is to bring to consciousness the patterns that return whenever we go up, when we level up, when we rise in who we are to a new, better version of ourselves, a new identity. And I would say it this way: chaos will attempt to slip through or come knocking loudest on three main doorways. The first is the emotional doorway. This is our personal relationship. Someone from your past resurfaces. They sense your strength, and at the same time, they sense your soft heart. And they come around wanting access to the version of you that doesn't exist anymore. So, what does this look like? You might feel pulled by guilt or nostalgia. You feel responsible for their feelings, and you automatically replay old dynamics. Doorway number 2, the professional doorway. Your old clients, old colleagues, maybe that underpriced client wants one more project, or that draining colleague asks for one more favor, or a past collaborator resurfaces with chaos that they're trying to make look like opportunity. What are the warning signs? You feel obligated. You feel you should help. John, welcome. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Meryl, for sharing as usual. And I see Christy joined us over there in Florida. Welcome, everyone. And the final way is you find yourself lowering your standard in order to avoid conflict. Doorway number 3, the leadership doorway, the roles that no longer fit. You get invited back for a role that previously diluted you, like watered you down. Committees, firefighting, emotional labor. They're asking you to lead from stability you didn't have back then. And you might find yourself instinctively stepping back into over responsibility, trying to fix what isn't even yours. Yeah, should is a dirty word, Sharon. I hate that word. It should be stricken. And you feel that your energy just disappear, evaporates. I would put it this way. Whatever returns, it's not random. It's a signal of where your identity is not finished. So where does this come from? Why did we even end up in that boat? Take a deep breath, close your eyes if you can, and think back. Who taught you that chaos was normal? Right? I know my early years, it was all about chaos. Who taught you to stabilize others over stabilizing yourself? And who made you responsible for their comfort, their calm, and their circumstances? And finally, who taught you that choosing peace meant betraying someone? That's a power move, Annie. No is a complete sentence, and no is a power word. Yeah, Sharon, we do. We should all over others. We should all over ourselves. That's a habit we need to break. It's very worth breaking it. Because we're not weak for letting chaos in. It was conditioning, right? We learned it from the environment. But peace, taking ownership of that peace, it's the evolution. Recently, discovered this quote: narcissists do tend to breed chaos. But again, we have to remember too, they're operating usually from conditioning as well. This quote from Nedra Glover Tawwab. She says, "You're not required to set yourself on fire to keep people warm. But yet many of us, leaders, helpers, healers, high achievers, that's exactly what we learned to do, was set ourselves on fire to hold this discomfort so others could be comfortable." Science time. Why do we do this? Right? We looked at, where does this come from? Now we're going to look at what happens in, what is the reality of it, the backing. The first is nervous system imprint. Your body seeks what it knows, not necessarily what it deserves. That chaos can feel like home if early environment required vigilance. Yeah, that's a really tricky spot too, Annie. You think you're helping, but you have to stop and ask yourself. You have to look for the frappe, the fixing, the rescuing, the advising, the projecting, the patronizing, and the evaluating. Especially for high achievers, helping people, the empath, right? When we've learned to put our own, as Nedra said, light ourselves on fire so other people can feel warm. William, thank you for joining. So the first, as I said, is it's an imprint in our nervous system from early life. The next is that polyvagal patterning, right? That vagus nerve, that fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Choosing the chaos instead of peace. That goes right with what Sharon just said. That I'll keep you calm so I can feel safe. Glad to have you, William. First time, last time, multiple times. You're all welcome. You're all appreciated. All right. Continuing with our science section, familiarity bias, right? Our brain likes predictable, even when it's bad for us, even when it hurts. That's why we don't like change. That's why we fight change, because part of the way our brains, Tracy, welcome, job is to keep us safe and alive. And it can feel safest in familiarity, in what it knows as a safe space. What's predictable. The challenge is we've flipped it. We just say, oh, the brain just goes, it's predictable. I know what to expect. Even, as I said before, even if it hurts. Fourth, identity inertia. Our old identity means old thresholds. If you used to believe that you had to earn love, you're probably going to believe you have to earn peace. Or as Gabor Mate says it, if you grew up needing to self abandon in order to be loved, self abandonment will start to feel like love. Here's the reality: peace will feel foreign until you accept that you're allowed to have it. And as Sharon says, right? The known discomfort or the known pain, the known problem is easier to deal with the unknown, whatever. All right. So now what do we do? What can we do about this? We know when it started, why it's still there. What can we do? And Annie, that's right. It's kind of a complicity. So practice number 1 is the pattern reveal. Reveal. Who returns every time you grow? Ask yourself that. Who's the one that comes back every time you grow? What energy or behavior are they bringing back to your life? Next question. What part of you still responds to them? As long as we're still responding to them, they're going to come back. And they're going to come back. And they're going to come back. And they're going to come back. What does your old identity still crave from them? Is it attention? Is it validation? Familiarity? Are you looking for closure? I've heard that so many times. I just want closure. I'm just trying to get closure. I want to reach out to them, answer their message because I want closure. No. No. And final question, what would your new identity say if it were in charge? I will put those in the comments later, so you have those to go refer back to. So who returns every time you grow? What energy or behavior do they bring back to your life? What part of you still responds to them? What does your identity still crave? Attention, validation, familiarity, closure. And what would your new identity say if you let it be in charge? What returns is not there to reclaim you. It's there to reveal you. So imagine this. You renovate your entire home. You give it a nice new paint job, rebuild, redesign, make it all new. But you neglected one thing. You didn't update the locks. It's the same old lock on the front door. Who still has the front key? This is what happens when your identity upgrades, but your boundaries don't. Hi, welcome. So I'm going to ask you all, what old keys still open doors in your life? And who holds them? Practice number 2, the 2-chair dialogue. Old identity, new identity. The old identity says, I let them in because it feels familiar. I don't want to hurt anybody, and I'm afraid of being alone, or I'm afraid of disappointing someone. As examples, the new identity says, I choose peace, even if it costs me familiarity. I deserve relationships aligned with my growth. I don't negotiate with chaos. And I don't let old keys unlock my new life. I get new locks. Take some time this afternoon or when you get a chance and write one sentence from each voice, from the old identity and the new identity. It is possible to love someone from your past without letting them lead you into your future. William, it is. It's fear. It's fear. We're fear of a lot of things. All right. And practice number 3. This is my favorite one today. The peace contract. 3 lines, 3 simple lines that are real. Write a contract with yourself. Kind of like similar to what Sharon said, but upgrade it. 3 lines. Something like this. I no longer return to what drains me. Peace is my standard, not my reward. Anyone entering must meet me at the level I have grown to. Boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. That's from Prentice Hemphill. And leadership means learning to love both. Bill, you're such a busy guy. You're always going. All right. To close this up. And Leslie, I see you there. Thank you for joining. Hopefully you get a chance to watch a replay, because I know sometimes I think I'm going to watch a replay because I couldn't make it live. Like I didn't get to see part 2 of UBU with Leslie yesterday because it was family day. It was my son's birthday celebration. So yeah, I'm not going to apologize for that. So I'm going to hope I can get the replay. Peace is now my standard. Yeah. People return when you rise because they recognize in you, they still recognize in you the version they once had access to. But in your world, that version of you no longer exists. So you have to close that door and change the lock. Here's your reflection prompt for today. The old identity that still opens the door is peace and blessing. The new identity that chooses peace is, so name it. What's your old identity that let chaos enter, let the toxic, narcissistic, whatever people back into your life? Either because you didn't change the locks or you let them have a new key. Peace is not passive. It's a conscious leadership decision. Choosing you is the highest form of leadership you can ever practice. So, my standard invitation, if what was shared today unlocked something, revealed some old pattern or lever or door that's still unlocked, and you're ready to get clear, book an identity clarity call. That's where we can map the identity that allowed the chaos and map it into the identity that will choose peace instead. So just comment peace, DM me peace, celebrate peace, whatever. All right. So that is my teaching for today. And now I will give the link. And welcome anyone who wants to come and join. Yeah. Peace is not passive, it's an active daily decision. And I'm choosing peace in the midst of chaos. So I'd love to hear from you. And good news for the audience. Miss Sharon and I are going to have a conversation coming up about her potentially co-hosting with me for Monday Mindshift. Yay. Yes, let peace be your reality, your choice, and not a nice slogan on a bumper sticker. And hopefully by next Monday, I'll have my new computer and I'll feel a lot more peaceful. I'm waiting for the ding to let me know somebody's joining. Please. You and so many others, Jay. I hear that all the time. That, they're like, oh, you have a name similar to. I said, yeah, a WWE famous person. Yeah, my favorite, Shawn Michaels. Yeah. I heard it. And there's Annie. I knew Annie wouldn't let me down. You there, Annie? Thank you, Meryl. Okay, not sure what happened to Annie here. There he is, muted or something. Your mic's not. Yes, Leslie. And the more we practice something while Annie's getting. Nada, nada. Still nothing, bro. Yes. Practice make progress. The more we practice something, the better we get at it.
Is my mic better this time?
You're working. You're live.
Okay, no, so this something logged me out of everything a couple of days ago. I think it was Friday. I think so.
Fun.
Well,
And how are you today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm having a good day. Having a good day. Avoiding the chaotic. That's what's good. Still nothing. No. How comes? Audio.
No, I got your audio. I just lost your video. It went
Okay.
wonky.
All right. That's all right. So I will work out what happened. Okay. Video. Video is not that one. This is the video. You can see me. So
Yep. Now
let's do the
we're
virtual background.
golden.
Let me see. Okay. Because for some unknown reason, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm having a good day. Having a good. Look, I'm by the pool.
Looks peaceful.
Yes, yes. No, it's a good day. So yeah, I published a book. So, what day? So I published a book on Saturday, Friday night, Saturday. Finish and some another chapter of another book I want to publish by Christmas. So no, good days, good days. Yeah, I feel at peace. Yeah, but I am avoiding the chaotic. Timely conversation. I've got someone. Yeah, they're just ridiculous. I mean, when you look back, you realize it's ridiculous. We accept ridiculous things from people, ridiculous behavior. Yeah, and so how did this chaotic thing, the person come along? Maybe I think as a business person, there's a time when you are not wise enough to say no.
As a
Yeah.
human, I would say, you know, you're a human doing business.
Mm,
So
mm,
yes, we're at different levels of our evolution.
mm,
So yes, the way I've always heard it, Annie, is we don't attract what we want,
mm,
we attract who we are.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah. So when you say what is the thing that they can see is that makes them see you in the same place. I think again in business, it's often your price. See, because to help the chaotic, you tend to have to lower your price. They give them a low ball, then that way they might say yes. And I guess when they come back, they have this crazy idea that your price is still the same. But
Hmm.
like I put in the comments, they'll offer you peanuts, even less than your price. And I'm just like, no, no, I'm not even talking. No. No, I'm just not talking.
Right, and that's the point of the like that I was covering too is when they come back trying to get that old price
Mm,
or less, as you mentioned, peanuts,
mm,
they're testing because the old you would have said, "Sure, I need a client." Okay, but the new version, and it's a test and it's a revelation because if you say yes, it's letting you know you still have growth to
mm,
do. You're still holding on to the old identity that accepts that
mm,
tolerates that.
mm. I agree. So I get this one. I say because it's a real experience in our days. But I think that it takes time. I say it takes time. It's it ought not to happen. We ought to be big enough and to realize because it's only gonna cause problems in the end anyway. Say this even if you think so even if you think at least I've got revenue from this person, they're not going to pay up on time. By the time you're done with the Wally Dervish behavior, you're not going to get anything out of it. It's got apart from just
Right.
stress and headache.
Extra stress and extra headache.
Mm.
Right.
Right.
So, as we said, we've got to close the door and change the locks.
Yeah. So I like Sharon Rosie's, put in a biometric key on the door instead. I like that. That's next level, right?
Right.
And I can
Right.
open
It's about letting go of this old, I will accept that, I will tolerate it because whatever, or things like, oh, I need to earn
it.
connection because I'm ready to fix things, or
Mm.
I'll prove my worth by powering through. Yes, they're a miserable client. I stress all the time over them, but I'll power through and prove how worthy I am. Like, look at me. I'm the
Yeah.
martyr kind of thing.
It's fool's gold.
Right.
Say genuinely, they say, and I learned a long time ago, it's not worth it. A bad customer doesn't just cost you time; they cost you money, they cost you joy, and they cost you the opportunity to work with someone else whilst you're wasting time with them.
Right.
So that's probably the biggest cost. The opportunity cost is probably the biggest thing that irks me in the end. That's why I'm just like, no, no, no. Yeah, but you have to have your eyes wide open to see the signs.
Right.
Right.
And you've got to do the work.
Mm.
And I would say learn to fully trust yourself.
I agree. I agree on that one. If it feels odd, if it feels not right, it's probably not right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's questions like this, like intellectually we know, like, don't let them in,
Mm.
or as Sharon says, right, the lesson will keep popping up until
It will.
we learn it,
Mm.
until we internalize it, right? But you know we know not to let them in, we know they drain us, but if we let them back in, there's still some part inside that might be whispering something like, maybe I'm being too harsh,
No, no, no,
or
no. Sure, no, no.
maybe no, we try to justify with ourselves,
We
right?
do.
We
I'll
say,
say that we just need to be very honest with ourselves.
yes.
That
And
it is.
that comes from self-trust, because if I
Yes.
trust that I can find the client that aligns with
Mm,
the version
mm,
of me I'm at now, not that old version, or
mm, mm.
find the partner or the relationship that aligns with who I am now, the updated identity, and not the old identity, that's kind of the baseline to stop justifying, maybe it wasn't so bad, maybe I'm just being crazy.
Yeah. So
I have a story on this.
go on, please carry on. Go on, carry on, please.
My wife, there was somebody in our life that she felt was kind of narcissistic, but she actually flipped it and started to think, maybe I'm the narcissist.
Mhm.
Until she did the work, and she actually read several books on, what is narcissism, and what it really looks like. But that's another way we justify, right? What if I'm the problem? What if
Mm.
I'm just being too rigid?
It's a hard one, but
It is.
it's a hard one. But I think we can flip that script very quickly. We must flip that script. So I think it comes back to your point about being aware, being truly self-aware, and trusting of ourselves, or trusting of our instincts. If it feels odd, it's probably odd.
It probably is odd, right? Just like the old, if it feels too good to be true,
Hmm.
it probably is.
Hmm. And of course, and I didn't say the other saying that comes to mind, Sean, is you know, trick me once, well done you. Fool me twice, stupid me, right? You know
That's
what?
a little variation on the way I've heard it, but yes.
More fool me, and it's just we can't let ourselves fall for the second time. 'Cause that
Right.
that that would, that
Because
would
yeah,
breed the
because
third
we have to update the identity.
time.
We have to change what we tolerate. We change our patterns. It's like change the identity, tolerance changes, patterns change,
Mm,
availability changes, even our energetic signature changes. And as we
mm,
said, standards change. Like I will not tolerate that.
mm. I agree. I totally agree. I don't think we need to go into blaming ourselves because we can still love them from afar. We can still, we can still engage with them at arm's length. That's a polite way of putting it. I'll still talk to you, of course. Now, I'm not going to respond to all your messages. I'm not going to respond to all your communications. But I haven't suddenly turned into hating you. I'm just not going to spend my time and my effort when I know it's going to be futile anyway. The weird thing, Sean, the people who are doing it, I don't think they even know they're doing it.
No, I believe so too. Like they're not fully they're as we said, we're all operating out of learned patterns,
Mm,
conditioned patterns. And until we take the time to go, wait a minute, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done with that old identity that follows this pattern. We don't change. And
mm.
we're all operating on this loop,
The loony loop.
so it's
Mm,
I've had a lot of people say to me, you know, because I took what I grew up in and my wife's taken what she grew up in and we're breaking the cycle. We both said this ends now,
mm.
right? We are not passing it on to the next generation. We're not perfect. We're going to screw
Of
things
course.
up.
Who is, right? Who is?
But the old ways that the old identity wanted to tolerate and allow, they're not allowed. They're not welcome.
Mm. Well, yeah, it's the right thing to do. Of course, I accept your point. That maybe the guilt is again that thinking you're helping when as Sharon Rose said, that all you're doing is enabling the craziness. I don't know if they ever will change.
Right. I heard it once, Annie. I think I've shared this before. There was a couple in the recovery group that I was part of, and they shared how she finally took drastic measures because he was chasing after alcohol,
Hmm.
and she divorced him. She's like, that I've tried everything else. You're out. We're done.
Hmm.
But when she gave her testimony, because they remarried, and now they're you know celebrating many years
Wow. Okay.
of remarriage. But she said, as long as I kept being the mattress, he
Hmm.
couldn't hit bottom.
Hmm.
And we've got Jay coming on board.
Awesome. Hello, Jay.
Welcome,
Oh,
Jay. Thank you for popping up here.
yeah, man. You've done me a favor a time or two giving your insights. So I don't know if I can return it, but here I am.
Of course, you can. We all come at life with our own perspectives and our own learnings, and it benefits all of us. That's the way I see it. There's no competition here. You don't have to match it.
Cool, cool. So, I think one of the things I wanted to kind of maybe um, put in the mix, there's a lot of people, I don't know. I'm just thinking about the holidays, you know what I mean? And how that plays into how people are, right, during this
Hmm.
time and what that looks like over, what they do at work, what they do when they socialize, you know, and that mindset shift, right? We're trying to get to a point where, it's about the season of giving. And, when Christmas hits, it, you want that feeling of togetherness, of family, and,
Hmm.
the warmth and, stuff like that. But the days leading up to that, and even right at Christmas, sometimes it is that chaos and chaotic freneticness of it. And so I'm aware. So I choose to err on the side of empathy and peace and love so that I don't rage grabbing the last bit of whatever off the shelf and the other person snatching it from you instead, right? Or, you know, you're in the holiday rush on the highway and people are cutting you off, woosah. they they need to get to where they're going, let them go, right? And I think it's that being mindful, I think, is the important part, especially in times like this.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It like I chose this topic this week from some of the topics that were suggested, but in the grand scheme, it's perfectly aligned because you're right. The holiday does bring this chaos because everybody's in this frenetic pace of getting the perfect gift for someone, rushing to the shopping mall for the, oh, I forgot to get something for Aunt Jude or whatever. And at the same time, being around family can reactivate and trigger old identity patterns,
yeah, that.
right?
Yeah,
They
I
can it can
spent
really test all the inner work you've done.
oh, definitely, definitely. So Pacific Islander families, right? Um, Extended family is just family, right? You,
Right. There's
everybody's
just one
there.
kind of family.
Exactly. Everybody's there. You've got cousins, second cousins, third cousins, right? They're just cousins. And so, I can remember even as when I was a young kid, like my uncles, I mean, they're adults, right? And you would think they would be mature, but they would be getting into fights. And And one time it was, I can remember it as clear as day. When they were together, they would always have these kind of competition type things going on. It's supposed to be friendly, but it ends up being this huge fight at the end. And I can recall one time hearing the words out of my uncle's mouth. Dad was always looking to you like you were the favorite. And I was like, what? So, you know, this thing apparently had been going on for years, going back to when they were in elementary school. And so these two brothers, these two men that I looked up to, were getting at each other's throats because of things that took place in their childhood.
Right. It's
Now,
the old Hatfield McCoy's story, right?
yeah, oh, seriously, seriously, you know, I'm a better ball player than you. Uh, you know, oh yeah, well, I'm a better pitcher than you, that kind of thing. And then it just escalates and then it goes back to, well, dad always paid more attention to you. That's why you're a better pitcher. That's why you're doing this more. You know, you always got the girlfriends, and I was always told to stay home and do my chores. Oh, and so, you know, you're right. When it comes to being around family and friends, the familiarity breeds familiarity in the negative, right? The things that
Hmm.
you used to rely on as your crutch to bring you through trauma then reignites and you're in front of it, literally facing it down, and then you're there again. And that's,
Right. Yeah, you're
yeah.
you're replaying old scripts that just kind of seemingly fire automatically.
And
And this is the practice, right? Because we can't change the people. It's like an old saying. No, this doesn't fit. Okay. It's about you're not going to change the people in your environment, especially with family, right? They've got to evolve on their timeline. So what can we do? Check ourselves. You nailed it, Jay, when you said, right? You come in with peace and like, okay, I'm not going to get sucked into whatever that is. It's about, you know, something as simple. I like to do a hand on the chest and take a deep breath and simply remind myself, I'm not going to perform my old identity. I'm going to bring my true and current self. That old identity that they know, he's not here.
yeah. And when, and I'll give a personal example. You work, you've done the work, you've come to a point where you're a better person. You're continuing to work on yourself, and you have these new relationships, and then you go home and you have that person who's in the new relationship see you
Mm-hmm.
going through your old personality, and then they look at you like, you're not the person I thought you were." And then there's another layer of chaos and difficulty or struggle that you have to work through. So the holidays can be really trying for some people. And when you're
Definitely.
part and when you're part of a big family, you know, going through those myriads of relationships, there's sometimes those relationships come attached with old trauma. And so bringing new connections, relationships, friendships, partnerships, family even into that can add to that. So when you're talking about a mind shift, you have to be cognizant not only of your relationship with the new person in your life, but the old relationships that you have, and manage the chaos. Manage the chaos. Now, and the reason I jumped in is because what people try to do is confront the chaos head on.
Oh, bad idea.
Right. And not manage the chaos. And difference there's a difference. When you manage something, you're dealing with it, you're working through it. When you're trying to focus on it and attack it or tackle it head on, then you're met with friction, right? You're met with all of the things at one time. And right now, especially during this time, now's not the time. Now's not the
Right.
time. You can't unpack everything at Thanksgiving. You can, but stuffing is
It's
going to
not
fly.
really the best. Yeah, it's not really the best time to do it. You can do it, yes. Well, and as I said, I like to go in the right state. But as you said, there's things happen and you start to feel shifts and you feel yourself getting triggered or okay, you want to do this? Let's confront it right now. I like exit ramps. Not running away from it, but just like, okay, I need a timeout. I'm put myself in timeout. I'm going to step outside for a few minutes, get some fresh air, just so I can recenter to not get pulled back into it. Because, I that environment you talked about, like that was my family. My parents favored my sister way more than any of the rest of us. And for years, there was lots of resentment. I know there's still a lot of resentment on their side. I've let go of it. I mean, my sister wrote me this huge letter about how all the stuff I did wrong. And I just said, I owned what I did do. And it's, like, how do we move forward? Like, I can't change the past. But at the same time, I could have, part of me wanted to say, well, blah, blah, da, 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 da. But I just, no, I'm not going to.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, outside of the holidays, so I'll give another personal example. So, my father lives in Washington State, and he lives with my brother. He's the second oldest in the family, and I, FaceTime or whatever, um, video call him, and so I'm talking to my dad, and then he's coherent, and then he hands the phone to my brother, and as he hands the phone over, I see him kind of like doing this motion, and then he starts to moan, and I my brother's trying to have a conversation with me, but I hear my father in the background moaning, and then I see him kind of like doing this. I'm like, hey, face the camera back to dad. And as he does that, the moaning gets louder because now the camera microphone is facing to him, and I'm like, dad. And so at this point, he's not coherent. He doesn't even recognize that I'm trying to get his attention on the phone. And I said, hey, Josh, my brother. I said, hey, Josh, what's going on with dad? He said, oh, he hasn't been feeling well. He said, he's just going to sleep it off, and he should be fine in the morning. I said, how long has he been going through that? And he said, I don't know. And I said, wait a minute. And it didn't sit well with me. I got off. I had a conversation with my brother the next day. Anyway, fast forward, and I talked to my sister, and she said, "Oh yeah, Dad was like that when I visited about a week ago." And I said, "What? A week ago? He's been doing this off and on?" "Yep." "Okay, that's not my dad. He's
Mhm.
not like that. He's always engaging, right? He may have some aches and pains. He's older in age, obviously, but not like that." And so, anyway, I had to play Big Brother, and I said, so I was talking to my brother Josh and my sister, separately, and I said, "I don't know whatever's going on with the two of you, but that's not my dad. I need you all to do whatever it is you need to do to get over whatever it is you need to get over, and take that man to the hospital." And it's that managing chaos, even through your own trauma, because there are sometimes other things that need to be addressed.
Right.
And so I could have yelled, I could have gotten upset. I said, "I don't know, I just was matter of fact. Whatever it is you need to do, I need the two of you to work together and get Dad to the hospital." I wasn't cussing. I didn't get overly emotional, but I did state my case that that's not Dad. And sure enough, they got him to the hospital. His kidneys were at 5%. 5%.
5%. Yeah. It was critical time.
Right. And no amount of sleeping it off was going to fix it. And had I not managed the chaos, because there was chaos, right? The two of them
Mhm.
weren't getting along. And my father definitely was not feeling well and going through that. And, obviously the day to day need to get the kids to school. My dad, he has his own life and things like that. So manage it. We don't need to tackle it, all the emotions and the trauma and you know dad liked you more when you were. No, he's clearly not doing well. We need to manage what's happening right now, get him to the hospital, and then we can unpack this whole thing later, right? So
Well, and right there, Jay, you modeled exactly what we studied when we studied nonviolent communication. The first step is observation. Like, I don't know what the conflict is between you two, but dad's not well. So then that led to, it's not evaluation like, whatever you guys are fighting about, knock it off and get dad to the hospital. It was like, whatever is going on, I don't know. There's some friction. I sense it. I see it. I'm observing it. No judgment, no evaluation. The need is dad needs to go get checked. Right. And that's what, NVC is like: observe it, express needs. I'm trying to remember the other steps. It's so much stuff in my head. But those are the key ones, right? Just observe, like, this is what I see. And this is the need that I have. Like, I need you guys to put aside whatever's happening, take care of this.
exactly, exactly. And I think that if you take that same model and apply it in other things like at work, or so customer service, right? There's
Mhm.
always conflict, always chaos, and sometimes even violence, right? In customer service. Look at
Especially Black
Black
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so, and then there's customer service over the phone or through chat, and um through calls or call center. There's people love to go off on a person because of a veil, a perceived veil, or a
Right.
perceived wall, right? So they feel at ease to let it go and let you have it. Whatever it is they're going through, they're going to just let it all out on
Unload.
you.
Yeah.
right, because there's that wall, that perceived wall. And so I'm like, okay, I need you to calm down. So I'm looking at my agent down the row, and she's throwing papers, and she's just like her hands in the air, and she's grabbing her head and all of this thing. And I'm like, sister, what, what's happening? You know? And she looks at me and she gets mad because I did a little, ha, everything okay? And she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, we need to manage what's happening. Okay. First of all, we're in a financial industry and they're talking about money. It's their hard earned money. You don't know what it took for them to get that money. It's
Hmm.
theirs. And now there's a problem with that money. So obviously they're going to take it very personal. I need you not to. I need you to manage this so that we can find ways to help them. Okay? Try not to take this personal. It's very personal to them because it's their money. And when I put it in that framework, she was able to move forward. She's still upset because she got called all kinds of names. And I get it, right? You were human beings. We don't like to feel uncomfortable, and that's very uncomfortable.
Right.
But how can you function, do your job, and help the other person, right? And when you help, what people don't understand is when you help the other person, you're really helping yourself. Okay. And in the context of work, I'm helping myself do my job because I'm managing my mindset to be able to help the customer or the client as my job dictates. Now in your personal life, when you manage the chaos, you're able to help yourself on a deeper level because now it's affecting you personally in the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis,
Right.
right?
Yeah. We're not humans. We can't operate in compartments, right? Work, if you're dealing with work stress, we always bring it home. And if we're dealing with home stuff, we always bring it to work. We think we're not, but it always leaks.
Oh yeah, and when you work from home, it's even it's, it's it's
So
even
true.
worse. Oh my gosh, it's even worse, right? So, and and uh, being very personal, right at this moment, I worked from home for 5 years with my wife, who also worked from home, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of friction. So we work together, not together. We work in the same environment. We
Hmm.
got different jobs, but we're in the same environment 24/7 now, right? So cabin fever is a thing. Don't get it twisted. It's real, and it can cause friction. And so managing that. So after about 5 years of this, I decided I needed to get back out in nature. So now I'm at a nature center and I work there and, during the day, right? Um, and building my business at night. But it's that thing of uh, we you can tackle things. I want to be clear. You can tackle issues and trauma and all that stuff. But the better word is to manage it, responding instead of reacting. And
Right. Well,
if you do that, I think it's going to work out better. But go
and that's
ahead.
exactly what it is too, right? In that moment, if you start to escalate internally, you're not in a good position to respond. You're going into reaction mode. So like you said, manage it where it's at now, deal with it later when you are in the right state, when you're not under pressure or feeling triggered. I know exactly what you're talking about. My wife and I work well together, and we saw a lot of people like during the pandemic all these people were suddenly working side by side with their spouses, and it it a lot of them couldn't handle it. We have safety measures, like I send my wife, you know, lately we're kind of, but I know what you're saying, 24/7, dealing with life, dealing with families, all that stuff, the kid, everything. It's like, you know what? Go get your nails done. Go spend 2 nights at a hotel. Just be you, in your space, and do what you want to do, what you feel you need to do. And it's the same thing with me. It's like I have my space, my time where I can go make sure that I manage myself first so that I can manage the conflict. Big thanks, Jay and Annie. We're kind of over, and I do need to wrap this up because I have a call at 1 o'clock or in 30 minutes or so. Any parting words, Jay or Annie?
He's muted again.
Mute myself, I know. I like to mute myself. It's always a joy. So I don't tend to speak in most people's rooms. So there we go. Interesting conversation.
Well, then I feel honored.
Yeah, that's area. It's a conversation, right? It's an interesting one as well. I mean, like Jay taking it down the personal route, that's just a whole different ballgame. In business, I can say I'm not working with you. No. In personal life, it's a different problem, right? You can't sack your relatives that easily. No, you can't.
Nor should you.
I thought twice. I'm like, no, you can't. It'd be good to.
You're fired.
Yeah. No, so ultimately we can't, can we? Ultimately we're stuck. But you have to manage them, somehow. Yeah, maybe that's part 2, sure.
Part 2, we'll see.
It's been fun.
All right, have an awesome week.
You too. Come to my parties. I got 2 parties tonight. So Paulette's mental wellness room and Christina and I are talking about content.
That's Christina Segato, right? Or
yeah,
Segato?
content. Yeah. Contents to authority to sales, something like that. Write a book. You build authority. You sell more. I agree. So join us for that one too.
I will do what I can.
I'll send you. The links are.
I do have some calls at nearby.
That's 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away still. So you got a long time.
I've got 2 more calls coming up. 2 calls on my schedule this afternoon.
It's all right, my friend. You enjoy. If I see you, I'll be delighted. If I don't see you, I will be understanding. That's the word. Take care, my friends. Take care. The wife's calling me now. I have to go. Bye.
Bye. Thanks
Yes.
again, Jay.
Hey.
Pleasure. He's still on. All right, everybody. Let me just do this. Thank you all for coming and sharing your comments, your questions, whatever, your presence, as I say always. Your time, one resource none of us can regenerate, so I respect that you took the time out of your day to be here and add to the conversation. And we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
He walks in with fire, igniting the night. A true seeker's vision. He shines through the black. With every step forward, he won't look back. Telling tales of struggle, the masks we wear. We're bound by the legend. lost in the snare. Time to break free from those chains of doubt. With his voice like thunder, he calls us out.
We'll do that.
This is the
That's the right side.
The rebels arise.
I got biscuits.
Storm within you.
Where are they?